While residing in the Florida Panhandle, homebuilder Jim Green experienced firsthand how storm winds can wreak havoc on a roof. He also learned how important it is to make sure there's a solid layer of insulation beneath it. Green accomplished this at his coastal home by using a spray foam insulation. Once used primarily as a sealant on the outside of homes, polyurethane spray foam is becoming a more and more popular form of insulation due to its high R value, which measures its ability to resist heat and its structural properties. So when Green decided to build a 9,000 square foot home on a man-made lake in Cairo, Georgia, his choice for insulation was a no-brainer. Or so he thought.
All of these foam products are not created equally, we found out after the fact, and our product held water like a sponge.
In this case, after the fact was months after the roof had been installed. An AC contractor made the grim discovery.
What happened basically in this project, how we came to where we are today, is that our AC installer, as he was making room to put his ductwork up through some of the roofs in the house, reached up in there to pull some foam out, and he came away just dripping with water. He immediately called me and said, "We've got a problem."
Clearly, when our AC guy located that first wet spot, he had opened up Pandora's box. Now, what does that mean? How many other wet spots do we have?
We began to realize that we had to address the foam problem, so we began to cut channels in the foam and try to locate every possible moist area that we could, so that we could potentially try to dry the foam out with the idea of spraying in additional foam into the areas that we'd removed. Well, we soon came to the realization that this was not going to happen.
The main problem was the company Green hired used an open cell spray foam, explaining to him that if it got wet, the water would drain through the foam. A rainstorm while the roof was under construction put the material and their work to the test, and it failed.
The way the foam goes on, when it goes on, it immediately expands, almost violently expands, and when it expands, it actually literally pushed itself away from the surfaces under our roof. It pushed it away from the surface to create pockets of air, pockets that could trap moisture. If there's moisture in there, pockets that would end up potentially spreading mold, and you start reaching up behind the foam when we were investigating for more moisture problems, that there were these pockets and you could just pull the foam out. There's voids around windows and doors. There's voids just by the nature of building a house like this that the open cell folks didn't bother spending the time to fill in and insulate.
What Green would later come to understand was that he needed a closed cell foam. Closed cell foams not only provide superior insulation, but create an impervious barrier, so even in the event of a roof leak, the water won't penetrate.
It's a material where you can spray it into your structural system in your house, especially your roof, and what it does is when you spray it in, it immediately sucks into any cracks or crevices. It immediately sucks in and then expands out, and when it expands out, it forms what looks like the foam in this house here, except it's much denser and much stronger. It actually creates a bond between the materials in your house, which is stronger than the wood fibers themselves, which for a house along the coast is what could be better than that.
Unfortunately for Green, progress had halted at his home, as workers were now spending more time ripping handfuls of soaked insulation from walls and ceilings than they were finishing the project.
So at this point, we're in the process of removing all the foam, and we're going to make sure that once the foam is removed, if there's any indications of mold or anything on any of the interior plywood, we're going to treat that. And then after we've certified that the roof is not going to leak, then we will be coming back in to blow 2 inches of the closed cell foam that Airtight distributes into the house.
They are the ones that will solve all the problems. So whenever we are finished ripping out all the old foam in this house and reinstall the new closed cell foam in the house, we'll not only have the great insulation qualities, we'll also have some of the structural qualities and characteristics which we were really looking for.
Skip forward a few weeks.
We found that once we were ready to have the foam blown in, the closed cell foam blown in, Airtight came right in, they blew the product in, they cleaned up after themselves, and the almost immediate difference that you could notice in the house from when it was just an open roof structure, metal roof structure, to the time that they blew in the foam. You could tell almost an immediate difference in the conditioned area of the home.